Alright, basically, I'm just gonna get right into it. Last week we obviously predicted. I mean, I think this happened before the week started. Yeah, when was that? The first. So that happened like 2 weeks ago. So we saw this inefficiency fill. I think it was on the 2 day. Yeah. So we saw this inefficiency fill here. We tapped that nicely and rejected off it, and then from that, obviously alongside not being able to create new structure to the upside and our macro direction to the downside, we're just looking for shorts. Obviously, my initial setup was where was it? I wanted price to come up into this inefficiency around here, but I was obviously targeting this into the weeks. You guys can go back and watch the recorded Zoom call where I predicted that, but we just had a sell off the whole week, and like I was expecting like a nice pullback, but like honestly, like I wasn't expecting this at all, to be honest. But we move, it happened. But this is what I'm gonna look for coming into next week. So if we look here, obviously if we have a massive sell off like that, we're due to have some inefficient price action. So we got this level here, right? We got this inefficiency here, and I think on the let's go to the weekly. No, 3 day. Yeah, I think it's a 50% of the 3 day. 2 day we're pretty much spot on there. But this is what I wanted to look at. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Look how it's a fill of the 16 hour, right? If we go down, it also lines up nicely. Wait, let's go to the daily quick. Let me draw this out. 16, 12. What did I line up with? Wait, give me a sec. Yeah, here. So we got this 3 day inefficiency within here. But if we go to the 16 hour, sorry, the 12 hour, look how that perfectly lines up within this 12 hour inefficiency. So we'll probably most likely have this nice reactive region here, and this is how you identify. So people always ask me like, oh, like we got inefficiency here, we got one here. Like, how do I know which one to choose? Is how you have time frame confidence within here. So this will line up with the 3 day, lines up with the daily because it's the daily fill. It's also the 12 hour fill. Like if we just work our way down, like this little level here just seems to be consistent across like most of the time frames. That's how you build your time frame confluence and also equilibrium of the range. If we fib this whole swing here, literally just above the 50. So this will be nicely in a premium market for a sell-off. Now the thing is, right, this is around 300 pips away. So I'm going to look for some clear, probably not on Monday because I don't really like trading on Mondays, but on Tuesday, I mean, to be honest, I'll just see how the market opens and how we're going to lead into Monday, because Monday we're usually choppy and like price, like if anyone was in Alex's call, he literally said price literally does this, like it breaks structure to like both sides, and like it's quite like indecisive in what it wants to do. But leading into Tuesday, you kind of have a better market direction. But this is what I'm going to be looking for. This whole POI is around like what, it's 20 pips. So I'm pretty sure we'll have some sort of nice reaction within there. We're also going to take out these equal highs here. So we literally have perfect equal highs, but obviously this is, as I said, it's like 100 pips away from that. But we have liquidity resting above this. So what I'd like to see going into, probably not see this by next week, depending on how volatile this is, because we did have a crazy sell-off last week. I just want to see this move up into here, have a nice clean break of structure, come back up for a shift in momentum, failure to create new structure, and then sell this off. Like so. Besides that, I don't really have much more to talk about. And obviously we're going to be targeting like these lows here, uh, on these lows here. But this is more of a swing. If I manage to get into a position either here or within here, I'm gonna look to swing this all the way down, because if you go to your weekly, let me just remove all these drawings. Look how bearish this candle is. That is a straight. That is a straight to the downside. Sorry, that's literally just straight to the downside. I wouldn't look to buy this at all. What else did I want to look at? Give me a second. Oh, NZD share. Damn, that's old. I think it's FXCM. Yeah. Alright, cool. So I broke this down for some of you who I do the one-on-ones with, but essentially, just look at it from like a daily perspective. We had an inefficiency fill here, which we came up and respected, and we moved to the downside. Obviously, look at this momentum to the downside. Look how quick this was, sorry, and look how long it took us. Look how much effort it took to make the retracement, and then again, move to the downside. If we go to the hourly, we had a nice inefficiency fill here. Let me delete this. Oh, hold on. We had a nice inefficiency fill here. We rejected off that nicely. Price came back up. All this price action here looks pretty filled in. There's no real like sponsored candle or inefficiencies within there that price would likely to come and mitigate out of. But this inefficiency was nicely lined up. We came and we tapped that, and we didn't. You see, notice how we didn't break above this candle. So here, notice how we didn't come up and break that. And the key thing to take into account here is this. Let me just go to the 15 to show you this. So let's say you took your trade, yeah, off of the sponsored candle, right? So let's just say you managed to get in here, and you had your stop loss of what, like 6.5 pips. You just let this run however much. It's down here. You wouldn't want to bring your stop loss to break even, right? Because something like this happens or could happen. So normally when you have your entry, price can come back extremely close to your entry, or sometimes even tap your entry, and then it decides to run. So that's why you only bring your stop loss to break even after you have a BOS. So that's why I had this lined up, because I previously explained this to someone. But so this here would be your BOS. You wouldn't bring your stop loss to break even until this level here breaks, or like let's just say, for example, I mean this level here breaks, and we had both that break in like in a short period of time. But yeah, you wouldn't want to bring your stop loss to break even, because I used to do this all the time. Like I would run into a bit of profit here, and like I'd identify some sort of break of structure there, and I'd just bring my stop to break even, and it would come and tap, and then it would run, and I'll just be like, well, great. But yeah, so look here. After we ran to the downside, this is an important part of like following the narrative. So look how we came up here, and we filled this inefficiency, right? And when we done that, we ran to the downside. Now let me just delete this here. Right, look here. Let's go to the I think on the 6th. No. Where is this? Yeah, here. Alright. We came up here, literally tapped that inefficiency perfectly, and then what do we have? an SC printed, and 3 consecutive candles to the downside. Obviously, I think on a 7 minute that's a bit better, but I'm not going to switch time frames because my Mac decides to bug out. So what do is you identify that this is a large volume candle, and it basically indicates that there's some sort of high net worth market participant showing interest, and they'd most likely want to come back to the 50 or the open to mitigate out of their trades, right? And what did we see? Perfect tap of the open. And let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you didn't catch this, even though it would have been a, what is this? This is a 9 pip stop loss, right? Let's say you waited for your break of structure. That's when you'd look here. Right here, we had our break of structure. Price came back up, probably mitigated out of something that we didn't see. I mean, we couldn't really see on this time frame, but then look here. We had an inefficiency within here. That price came and mitigated. So this could have been your entry number 1, right? You should feel comfortable taking this simply because, look, this would have given you a stop loss of what? 3.2 pips. And then let's say you let this run to the downside 13%, right? Cool, let's say you didn't take that. This is the SC that's printed. Look at this nice reaction to the downside. You could have taken it off of the open of that SC. There, opportunity number 2. Again, could have taken it here. Follow the narrative. What is this? 3.6 pip stop loss. Same thing. Run it to the downside. Keep following the narrative. We saw another setup here. Let me just delete everything. This is getting annoying. Right, look here. We came here, filled this inefficiency, and then we have this newly printed SC, yeah? Now this is the kind of prime setup you want to look for. Look at this volatile move away from that price region. This shows that we moved up, added orders, and then we literally flushed price to the downside. So 9 times out of 10, what we're going to see is we're going to come back up, tap the 50 or the open, like we did so here, and we can sell it off again. Now look, this would have given you 2 pip stop loss. So, I mean, all of that aside, that literally just goes to show like how much opportunity there is within the week. Like this was literally me just sticking on one time frame, not even moving about to identify stuff within here and God knows what. But moving into this week, we obviously got a we obviously tapped. This is where we tapped the this SC. So let me just line this up again. It's the 50 about here. Got a break of structure to the downside here, right? That's our break of structure. Bang. Now what we had here was the same setup that probably showed twice in the past. We came up, filled this inefficiency nicely, and what did that leave? This nice sponsored candle with a nice reaction to the downside. When you get a sponsored candle, right, you kind of want like 3 consecutive candles in the opposite direction. That kind of shows you that like whoever entered has entered with like large, like there's a large net worth market participant. Otherwise, a move like this, when it happened, normally you'd have like slow, sluggish movement away, and then that kind of invalidates the SC. If you got like doji candles or like indecision candles, then you wouldn't really like class it as a SC. When you want to look at, when you're looking at the reactions, right, anything above the 3 minute is pretty valid. Don't look at the 2 minute or the 1 minute, because you're always gonna find like indecision candles and dojis and stuff like that. So anything above the 3 minute, I'd recommend. So like obviously this is quite choppy, but look, we had a nice flush down. So I'd look for next week. I'd look at this setup here, right? Let me just clear this up for you. I look to come into this region here because not only is this a 50% of the SC, but it's also this inefficiency fill right here. So now we've got two regions where I think price would likely to be magnetized towards. Also, take off this, purge this liquidity above here, and then coming into next week, this would be a nice setup. So obviously, I'd like to see this just move, purge this liquidity, break off structure, move back into some sort of premium price, and then obviously move to the downside, and then obviously target these lows here. So realistically, what this would most likely be would be a what? Let's just say you manage to take it at a 50. That's a 2.5 pip stop loss, and obviously if you follow the 10 pip rule, you take full profit at what, 10 pips? Yeah. So you secure 4%, right? And that's one of your trades. And then your second trade, same thing. You let it run to external range liquidity, which is down here. You take 50% of the trade off, so that's what, 5% plus 4%. That's 9% that you've bagged, and then you just let the rest run, and you would have left the trade with like a nice, what, 15-16% by the end of it. Target these lows here next. But yeah, this is the kind of setup I'll be looking for. This is what I want to look for next week, because even if you look at up here, all this looks pretty filled in. All this looks pretty filled in. There's no reason for price to trade up this high. But this makes more sense. There's like the logic behind why I would think that this was going to work out. But yeah, to be honest, that's all I have. If you guys got any chart ups and stuff, just send in the Telegram chat, and I'll get back to everyone tonight before obviously market open. It'll be nice to see how this opens as well. I don't really trade this pair. I only started looking at it literally this week, so it'll be interesting to see if this plays out nicely. I might add this to my, because I only trade GBP JPY, I might add this to my list of pairs that I trade. Because obviously, like, it shows pretty clean price action. But yeah, you guys can unmute your mics if you